The winter of 1962 brought a terrifying silence to the Indian subcontinent. The border war with China had just ended in a devastating defeat, exposing a massive vulnerability at the top of the world. At 15,000 feet, the Himalayas presented an environment as hostile as any army. The extreme cold and razor-thin oxygen levels were just as lethal. India's standard infantry regiments simply weren't acclimatized for it. Soldiers deployed from the plains were succumbing to altitude sickness before they even reached the front lines. To hold that high-altitude terrain, the military needed a new breed of soldier, men whose lungs and blood were already forged in the absolute extremes of the mountain peaks. The solution to this crisis was hiding in the peaceful Buddhist monasteries and the sprawling tent cities scattered across northern India. Thousands of Tibetans had recently fled across the border to escape severe persecution by Chinese forces. Among them were the legendary Khampa warriors. These men had watched their homeland be dismantled. They arrived in India seeking asylum, carrying a deep desire to strike back at the army that had displaced them. To defend its sovereign borders, India began secretly drafting a lethal military force, recruiting from the very people who legally belonged to nowhere. Turning refugees into elite commandos required resources far beyond India's immediate post-war budget. The Indian Intelligence Bureau formed a highly classified partnership with the American CIA to weaponize these recruits. Weapons, funding, and tactical instructors were funneled into a restricted, off-the-books training camp hidden deep in the forests of Chakrata, Uttarakhand. To lead them, the government appointed Indian Army Major General Sujin Singh Uban, deliberately bypassing the standard military chain of command. Because General Uban had previously commanded the 22nd Mountain Regiment, the entire covert operation was given an innocuous codename, Establishment 22. Inside the camp, the Khampa warriors were forged into the Special Frontier Force, or SFF, highly trained mountain commandos equipped to operate in total silence. This secret alliance successfully built an invisible military wing, operating completely outside the boundaries of international law and public accountability. In 1971, the SFF proved its operational value on land, while the public's attention was fixed on naval victories like Operation Jackpot. SFF commandos were dropped into the dense jungles of the Chittagong Hill Tracts, where they silently choked off the Pakistani military's escape routes into Burma. They moved like ghosts through the underbrush, neutralizing heavily fortified positions without leaving a trace of who had actually carried out the attacks. That operational silence became a decades-long policy. When infiltrators occupied the freezing peaks of Kargil in 1999, the SFF was sent up the steepest rock faces to reclaim them. During the 2020 border standoffs, it was these Tibetan commandos who outmaneuvered Chinese forces to secure critical high ground overlooking the Pangong Lake in Ladakh. Despite repeatedly altering the course of major wars over 50 years, the Indian government maintains an official denial of their existence. When a standard soldier gives their life for their country, their name is etched into history. Officers like Major Somnath Sharma are publicly celebrated for defending Kashmir against impossible odds. For an SFF commando, death brings no public recognition. Their sacrifices are quietly filed away in classified dossiers, stripped of state funerals, public honors, or gallantry medals. They deploy knowing that if they don't return, the state will disavow their presence. They fight without the comfort of historical recognition, or even a formal identity for their families to hold on to. They lay down their lives for a nation whose official records treat them as phantoms. The commitment of the SFF is built on a specific, personal foundation. They are driven by a fierce gratitude to protect the Bharat Mata that gave them refuge, and by an unwavering dream of one day liberating their own Tibetan homeland. The strategic necessity of 1962 created a shadow army, but the geopolitical landscape has shifted. The time for denying this 60-year-old reality has passed. Should these ghost soldiers finally be granted a formal public place in the military history they have spent decades writing? You can help shatter that silence right now. Drop a comment below to honor the unnamed commandos of the SFF, and hit subscribe for more stories hidden in the margins of history.